There are places in the world that don't appear on maps, not because they don't exist, but because they're not meant to be found. Remote stretches of land, surrounded by miles of open ocean, owned not by governments, but by individuals. Places where access is restricted, surveillance is controlled, and privacy isn't just a feature, it's the entire point. These are private islands, owned by some of the wealthiest people on Earth. And increasingly, they're being designed for something far beyond luxury. They're being built as escape routes. For decades, the idea of owning a private island was seen as the ultimate symbol of wealth. A secluded paradise, white sand beaches, crystal clear water, and complete isolation from the noise of everyday life. But in recent years, something has shifted. The design of these islands is changing. The purpose behind them is evolving. What was once about relaxation is now about preparation. Because for some of the world's most powerful individuals, the question is no longer how to enjoy the world, but how to leave it behind. Across the Caribbean, private islands are being purchased at increasing rates. In places like the Bahamas and the British Virgin Islands, entire land masses are quietly changing hands. Some are developed into ultra-luxury resorts, but others remain closed off, with minimal public information and restricted access. At the same time, in places like New Zealand, reports have surfaced of billionaires acquiring vast plots of land and constructing high-end underground bunkers. These aren't simple shelters. They're fully equipped living environments designed to sustain life for extended periods without any reliance on the outside world. And then there's Dubai, a city already known for pushing the limits of what's possible. Just off its coastline lies an artificial archipelago known as the World Islands, a collection of man-made islands shaped like a map of the globe. Originally envisioned as luxury real estate, some of these islands have become private compounds, offering complete seclusion just minutes away from one of the most advanced cities on Earth. It's here that the line between reality and the future begins to blur. What connects all of these places isn't just wealth, it's control. Control over environment, control over access, and increasingly, control over information. Because in a world where everything is tracked, recorded, and shared, true privacy has become one of the rarest commodities. And for those who can afford it, the solution isn't just to log off, it's to disappear entirely. But how is this even possible? How can someone operate outside the reach of global systems? The answer lies in a combination of geography, law, and technology. Many of these islands are located in regions with minimal regulatory oversight. Offshore jurisdictions, tax havens, and territories with flexible property laws create opportunities for ownership structures that are difficult to trace. Through layers of corporations and legal entities, ownership can be obscured, making it nearly impossible to determine who truly controls a piece of land. At the same time, advancements in technology have made self-sufficiency more achievable than ever before. Solar energy systems can power entire compounds. Desalination technology can convert ocean water into drinking water. Advanced agriculture systems, including hydroponics and vertical farming, allow food to be grown in controlled environments. What once required connection to a larger infrastructure can now be contained within a single, isolated location. Security has evolved as well. Traditional guards and fences are being supplemented or replaced by systems powered by artificial intelligence. Drones capable of monitoring large areas autonomously. Sensors that detect movement long before a human could. Encrypted communication systems that operate independently of public networks. These are not just homes, They are fortified environments designed to function independently and remain protected from external interference. But perhaps the most interesting aspect of these places isn't the technology or the architecture. It's the mindset behind them. Because building a self-sustaining island isn't just about comfort. It's about contingency. It's about preparing for scenarios where the systems we rely on, governments, economies, infrastructure, begin to fail. Whether due to political instability, economic collapse, environmental changes, or something entirely unexpected, the idea is simple. When the world becomes unpredictable, these locations offer stability. This is where the concept shifts from reality into something that feels almost like science fiction. Imagine an island where every system is automated, energy generated continuously, food produced on site, security managed by algorithms that learn and adapt. A place where the outside world exists only as data, filtered, controlled, and optional. A place where the noise of modern life, social media, news cycles, constant connectivity simply doesn't exist. In this environment, isolation becomes a form of luxury. Not just physical isolation, but informational isolation. The ability to choose what you see, what you hear, and what you engage with. In many ways, it's the ultimate form of control. But it also raises a question. What happens when individuals have the ability to remove themselves entirely from the systems that govern everyone else? Because with isolation comes a reduction in accountability. Laws, regulations, and oversight are all tied to systems. And when those systems are distant, fragmented, or intentionally avoided, enforcement becomes difficult. In these remote environments, who ensures that rules are followed? Who monitors what happens behind closed doors or beyond the reach of traditional oversight? This tension between privacy and accountability is at the center of a much larger conversation. On one hand, the right to privacy is fundamental. The ability to live without constant surveillance, to control one's environment, and to disconnect from external pressures is something many people aspire to. But on the other hand, when that level of privacy is combined with extreme wealth and advanced technology, it creates a space where actions can occur without visibility. And this isn't just theoretical. The increasing concentration of wealth globally means that more individuals have access to resources that were once unimaginable. The ability to build, design, and maintain entire ecosystems independently. The ability to create spaces that operate outside traditional frameworks. And as these capabilities expand, so does the potential for these environments to evolve into something entirely new. Looking forward, it's not difficult to imagine how these private islands could develop further. Integration of artificial intelligence into daily operations. Autonomous systems managing everything from security to resource distribution. Advanced materials and construction techniques making structures more resilient to environmental changes. Even the possibility of underwater or floating extensions, expanding the boundaries of what these spaces can be. At that point, the distinction between a private residence and a sovereign entity begins to blur. A self-contained environment with its own systems, its own rules, and its own way of operating. Not officially recognized as independent, but functionally separate from the world around it. And that brings us back to the central idea. These islands aren't just about escaping society. They're about redefining what it means to exist within it, creating environments where the rules are different, where the limitations that apply elsewhere no longer exist, and where the future is shaped not by collective systems, but by individual capability. For most people, this world remains distant. something seen only through glimpses, headlines, aerial images, fragments of information. But its existence reflects a broader shift, a movement toward decentralization, toward independence, toward a future where the boundaries between society and separation become increasingly fluid. The question isn't whether these places exist, they do. The question is what they represent. Are they simply an extension of luxury? Or are they a preview of a world where the most powerful individuals operate on an entirely different level? Because if the ability to disconnect, to isolate, and to operate independently continues to expand, then these islands may not just be escapes, they may be prototypes. Early versions of a future where the concept of society itself begins to change. And if that's the case, then the real story isn't about where billionaires go when the world falls apart. It's about what happens to everyone else when they do.